sky. Sky.
It's been 3.5 years since we put in this wood-fired hot water service in the shed where we're living while I built my home. So I thought I would give you a review of how it's gone. We've only had two minor problems with it. The first one is caused by the fact that when you put a gas hot water service on the top of a wood-fired heater, the chimney size that goes up through the middle of the gas hot water service is about half the size of what the fire has, and so you effectively choke the fire a bit. So it's something like running your fire with the flue closed. Works okay, but because of that, what happens is, because the air's not going up fast enough, the chimney inside the gas hot water service is subject to soot build-up. And so after about 18 months, I found I had to clean the inside, take the flue off through the roof, and put a pipe down with a cleaning disc on it and clean the soot off. And I found I had to do that about every 2 months. Now, a couple of years later, I'm having to do it about every 2 weeks. And I can tell that the coke is building up inside and it's getting harder and harder to clean. So long term, I guess this would be about ready to be replaced for that reason. But if you were in a cabin or just coming up camping and only using one of these units once a month or even less, I don't think that would be an issue. We've been using this, well, in summer we run it every 2 days. It heats enough hot water to store it for 2 days, and then in winter we run it about every day. So we've been running it fairly heavily, and I don't think you'd have that degree of use in a camping situation or a hunting cabin situation. The second issue was inadvertently one of my own making. When I plumbed the shed to put the hot and the cold water in, I used high pressure PVC pipe so that it was easy to do and cheap. And what happened after a couple of weeks is that the joins started popping on the high pressure pipe on the hot line. And when that happened, I thought, well, I haven't put enough glue on or something like that, so I'd redo the joint. Had that happen a couple of times, and then eventually I thought maybe there's a problem here. And I looked down the run of hot water pipe going to the shower, and I could see it had completely sagged and drooped. And what had happened was the water coming out was so hot that it was starting to melt the pipe. The problem when you have a wood fire instead of the gas burner on a hot water service is that you lose the thermostatic control. And so instead of the water being heated to about 60 degrees and staying there, with a wood fire it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and actually will boil in there if you put too much fire under there. So normally this water is around about 100 degrees. So PVC pipe was no good for the hot water pipe. For the inlet, for the cold inlet it was, but not for that hot water outlet. And so my son came up and we replaced the pipe that goes out of the hot water service to the taps with copper pipe. We haven't had trouble since then. A couple of people on YouTube have asked me, why did I put this unit inside? Why didn't I put it outside? Well, putting it outside would make sense in a predominantly warm environment where you don't want the heat where you're living. But up here in the mountains where it's cool, about 3/4 of the year it's cool and we need a bit of heating, particularly at night time. So that's why I put it inside. But this unit would work equally well inside or outside. If you're in a hot climate, yes, you might like to stick it outside. Overall, this has been a fantastic way of getting free hot water in a camping situation. All it takes is a bit of wood. The water's free because it's rainwater off the roof. It's a great system. I thoroughly recommend it to anyone in this sort of situation.